DraftKings Sportsbook is the number one place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Instantly download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. As always, please bet responsibly, only with money you're prepared to lose, especially if you listen to idiots like me. Okay, so we will be in Philadelphia. It will be cold. It will be snowing. It will be loud. Just so all Eagles fans know ahead of time, so don't get anything thrown at me, I did pick the Eagles to win. But, with the Rams, the way they played on Monday night, if they play like that, if they can find a way to play like that, perform like that, they're going to be hard to beat. The problem is you think of everything the Rams have been through with the fires in L.A., they go to Arizona, they're there for a couple days, they play the Vikings Monday night, they go back to L.A., they got a short week cross-country. At just some point, we're all human. At some point, it just becomes too hard to do. You throw in the weather, playing a Philadelphia team that's one of the best in the NFL from a talent standpoint. This is going to be a hell of a challenge for the LA Rams.
Yeah, and sometimes you think about, you look around and it gives you perspective on life, and you see that so many people have lost everything, and you have an opportunity to go out there and play a game that you've been blessed to play. And you don't want to take it for granted. You want to go out there, you want to play hard, you want to play tough, you want to play smart, you want to do all those great things. So, when you see people going through the things that they're going through, and you're able to go out there and put a smile on their face or just make a difference and continue to do the things that you love, you don't take it for granted. So I think the Rams are going to show up. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. The first game, the Rams offensively, they were able to move the ball up and down the field. They could pass the ball. Puka Nacua and those guys, Kyron Williams was breaking off some nice runs. They could move the ball. And then all of a sudden, Kyron Williams, he fumbles. That really changes the tone. And defensively, the Rams held them down, held the Eagles basically the first half. The second half, they came out and started making some big plays. But the Rams, they're not afraid of the Eagles. They're not afraid of the Eagles. They feel like offensively, they can move the ball. And defensively, they're just going to have a better effort from those guys up front, from all those young guys up front. And really the biggest difference is going to be the size of the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line compared to those smaller, quicker, athletic guys on the defensive line.
Jared Verse, the likely defensive rookie of the year, who had a fumble return for a touchdown and just was generally wreaking havoc against the Vikings on Monday night. He has some quotes that remind me of something that Rodney Harrison would have said and still would say. Verse grew up in Pennsylvania. He's going back to Philadelphia after facing the Eagles in the regular season in L.A., but he got a taste of the Eagles fans. I hate Eagles fans, Verse said. They're so annoying. I hate Eagles fans. When I see that green and white hat, I hate it. I genuinely get upset. Like I actually get hot. I didn't even do nothing to him. It was my first time playing. Oh, I hate Eagles fans. Because they were screaming obscenities at him in the game at SoFi Stadium. That just sounds like the kind of candor that we would have gotten from Rodney Harrison. And, he better be careful because he's going back to Philadelphia. And if they didn't know who he was, they do now.
That's what I was sitting here thinking. I'm like, why would you come out and say that and basically give ammunition to the enemy? And now they're going to be louder. They're going to be drunker. They're going to be, on so many different things, man. It's going to be crazy. But I love the passion of the Eagles fans. And, I've gone back there a couple times since my playing days, and it's been rough at first, Mike, but now they've seen me there and they're a lot nicer. They don't throw stuff at me and talk about my mom and, all those different things. So this is going to be fun. But, when I look at Saquon and just really the impact that Saquon, you talked earlier about the running backs, but to me, the impact of Saquon Barkley, what he had on his teammates and this organization, man, just his work ethic, his humility, and just everything that he brings. You think about a guy that doesn't care about getting the record. He says, no, coach, whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. That's what it's about. That just shows you, it seems like he's come in and really just calmed down any tension. There was a lot of stuff going on with offensive coordinators, and he's just come in, he's really settled his team down, and he's just been an ideal character for him.
In that game when the Eagles fans were yelling obscenities at Jared Verse probably yelling some obscenities at Saquon Barkley as he ran by him. 26 carries, 255 yards, 9.8 yards per carry with a 72-yard long run for the night. They ran through and around the Rams defense. He did. And that's, it's just like we talked about earlier with the Bills and the Ravens. One of these teams had it easy the last time. The other team got its butt kicked, and you have to process that and try to figure out how you're going to make it different this time. And this one wasn't that long ago. This was week 12, not week 4. It was 2 months more recent than the Bills-Ravens game. And, when they can come out and physically dominate, if they can do that again, and the weather will help them do it from a running standpoint, it's going to make it even harder for the Rams, Rodney.
Yeah, and once again, we're going to talk about that defensive front and, what can they do against that big, talented offensive line. And I'm going to tell you, Mike, I know Landon Dickerson and I forgot who else probably went to the Pro Bowl for them. But Mekhi Becton, man, I tell you, man, he's been really good for him. I mean, you talk about a guy that everyone thought was a bust on offensive line. You get him in a good situation where he has other really good players around him. They have a really good running back, and you just see the job that he's been able to do next to Landon Dickerson and those guys. So I'm a big fan of this offensive line. Every time I see him, I look up and say, holy crap, how can you guys be so big on the offensive line? But also on the other side, Matthew Stafford, man, he's been great. All the injuries that he's had to deal with, when it comes to that offense, on the offensive line with the wide receivers, he's been the one steady guy that's always been upbeat, the guy that's been positive. When he had to deal with Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson and those backup wide receivers, and adjustment that Sean McVay had to make using 2 tight ends, using 3 tight end sets. It's really been fascinating to watch. And you start to really think and dive into what Sean McVay has done this year. I mean, this is a guy that should be considered Coach of the Year. He should have some strong Coach of the Year consideration, being the fact that he's really turned that team, that offense around. And then the young guys on the defensive side of the ball, it's not like they've fallen off, Mike. This is a better defense than they had when they had Aaron Donald.
Yeah, 4th youngest defense in the NFL, and in their first year without Aaron Donald, they're spreading the wealth. They have guys coming from every different position,
yes,
and you don't know who to focus on. And if you focus on one, somebody else is going to beat you. You were mentioning the Eagles Pro Bowlers. They had 3 on the offensive line, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, and Cam Jurgens. One of the best offensive lines, not just now, Sims will say of all time. Makes it a lot easier for the rest of your offense to operate when the offensive line is that good, and that's going to be what the Rams are dealing with. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.